Are you wondering how you can contribute to Funniest Thing?
Don't flip out. Go to patreon.com/funniest thing.
Whoa!
Oh!
That would have been crazy. Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Yes, it does.
I'm Darrell.
I'm Ed.
And we are broadcasting live from CHOBO Studios in beautiful
downtown Van Nuys. Ooh.
My bad.
I got great news, everyone. You are unlimited with special guest actor Steven Tom Thorpe. Going to join us during the second segment. Unlimited good is ours when we start each day with the realization that the rewarding power of God is always at work in us and in all that concerns us. We are not bound to old conditions.
Whoa,
We
yes.
can allow the winning combination of forgiveness and faith to launch us forward to greater blessings. On this episode, Darrell and Ed motivate listeners and ourselves, for crying out loud, to unhitch from the past and grab a hold of high hopes. And during the second segment, high hoping actor Steven Tom Thorpe inspires us to let go and let God go to work in our circumstances with today's reading, which is New Day.
New Day.
And that's a great old reading from what, 82 or something?
88, I think. Oh,
Okay.
hey, I could tell you. 1988, April 1988.
Nice. I got some great baseball cards that summer.
I
Baseball cards.
actually would have read this while in Honolulu,
Right.
Hawaii. It's the exact
Who hooked us up with that, Kirky?
Kirky from Germany actually finds these old daily words that we actually have come to notice have the real kick me upstairs, no nonsense, spiritual way of writing.
Yeah, speaking of Kirky, we got two new ones this week in the P.O. Box. What's the P.O. Box? Can you see it on the bottom of that paper there?
I know it. It's 1312, Culver City, California, 90232.
So you can send us something as well. Kirky, we love you. These are awesome. He sent us a couple postcards. One thing he said, says, you cannot drink too much tea. It is not possible. I changed that to coffee, and I wholeheartedly agree. If you're not on YouTube yet, Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, you can see the postcards we receive, see the guests, look at that. You look like 10 years younger today, buddy.
Yeah, it's the makeup and the halo.
Yes, anytime we got a real actor in the studio, things happen.
We get better than average makeup.
And this says, vintage, beep, enjoy a cup of Cupferly. Kirky loves you.
And he's referring to Mary Cupferly.
Yeah.
So if you're ever looking for something to kick you upstairs, you could just go to truthunity.net and search Mary Cupferly.
Oh my God,
and
she's
you will get
amazing.
some great, inspiring, short doses of affirmative ideas to renew your mind.
You know who knew her was, what's that fella's name? Greg Barrett.
Oh, that's, yeah.
He said she was a fun-loving person who played guitar and stuff. So from Kirk, we also got a postcard that says, play to win. It looks like it is me kneeing Darrell in the nether regions. Darrell giving me a swift kick to the chops, playing soccer together. There's a great stamp on the back of Darrell wearing 3 hats saying, hats off to that. The quote is from Robert Frost. It says, our founding fathers did not believe in the future. They believed the future in. They believed it into reality,
into reality.
Existence. Thanks to Steven Tom Thorpe for helping me to understand that quote this morning in the green room. It's that simple. Kirky loves you. There's another great quote. Oh, this was the funniest thing.
This is a miracle story. Ed's holding up a postcard that Kirky made, and it has my head, Ed's head, and Steven Tom Thorpe's head transfixed to 3 monkeys.
Yeah,
but the
sounds
crazy
about right.
thing is, we didn't know Steven Tom Thorpe was going to be on the show until this weekend. And this postcard came to us from Kirky this week.
Yeah, there's this crazy wisdom that whispers in your ear, everything you need to know. I was sitting there at the prosperity class, not this week, but the week before. And at the very end, I saw Steven's face, and I was like, this dude needs to come back on the show soon. So we made an arrangement, which was going to be in a few weeks, and then all of a sudden, his improv class this Saturday.
Well, 2 things happened. One, the guest
guest canceled.
And then his improv class, which he normally has during this time that we tape the show, just happened to be canceled this Saturday. And then we get this postcard as reassurance that everything's in divine order.
That's why we have to get rid of our butts, which we're going to talk about throughout this episode. But the quote on the back of this postcard says, "Every thought we hold manifests somewhere. This extremely powerful idea is both frightening and exhilarating. If the principle works this successfully for negative thinking, can we expect it to work similarly when we hold only love in our minds? That's the good news. Whatever we hold in our minds, whichever voice forms our thoughts, determines how we see our companions and how we experience our lives minute by minute." That's from Karen Casey. And that's, again, goes perfectly with this show, which is called You Are Unlimited. Let's take a moment. Let's thank Indy out here at CHOBO Studios. How are you, buddy?
Doing great. Love you, bagel and spread.
Oh, yeah. Funniest thing with bagel. Man, you got it wrong on your whiteboard again, buddy. It's Darrell
and
and
Ed. Not bagel and spread.
I mean, this is the 81st episode. I should get this right.
Yeah,
One day, there's still hope for you.
There's still hope.
Nice hat, though, Ed. Love you.
Hey, thank you, man. I just slid into a new. I gave my other Chobo hat to Michael Knight when Sherry and Michael Knight were visiting, and were they in the studio or no? They were just kind of hanging out in the green room, and in the control center.
Yeah, they were hanging out in here.
Yeah. So, but Michael slid off with a Chobo hat, so he's spreading the message out there.
Amazing. That's great.
In
They're from Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Spreading Chobo in Kentucky. Love it.
Yeah. Someone else who we love is Jeff Comfort. He takes care of the audio part, getting it up on the podcast.
Wait, he
apps and stuff.
also helped us find our musical number that we were looking for this week.
What's her name? Terry Wilder.
Terry Wilder, I believe, is the author of this ditty we're going to sing.
No one's wilder than Terry.
No one.
So we're going to sing that later. Thank you, Jeff, for helping us find that song. No buts about it. So anyway.
And he takes us
right into the comfort zone. Yeah. So you want to kick us off with a little... Oh, you know what? Let's do a quick thing, because there's a couple shout outs on YouTube I wanted to mention, so then we'll move on with some readings. You know, Barbara Weatherman said, "Love you guys, sending love and light." Kathy Norman, the great Reverend Minister up at Unity of Santa Barbara, said, "Love this show." It is from the last week's episode, "Life is Not an Emergency" with Katie McDonald. We all need to be reminded that life is not an emergency. Kathy Norman said, "Love this show, and I love the Nancy Cups. Pronoia," which is opposite of paranoia, which means the belief that things are working out on your behalf.
Yeah, people are always conspiring for us, not against us.
Not against us. She said, "Pronoia is the only way to live. I love you guys." There was one more. I guess I accidentally took a screenshot of the Three Stooges, so I don't have anything else on my phone. But oh wait,
what are our
last
three
thing? Oh man, we don't. Do you have them? Conjure those up while we talk.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who's supporting this public service ministry through Patreon, patreon.com/funniest thing, as you heard at the top of the show. Man, it's a major growth in that area, which is really exciting. Adds fuel to the fire of the show, getting this message out there. These things work. Even when my mind doesn't believe they work, they're still working. When Darrell, any of us, it doesn't matter. These are principles, thank God. And when we feel separate from God, as they say, it's not God that left. It's us that is going, it's me that has kind of turned the other direction, turned away from my divinity. And, I'm going in and out of that with relation to my job these days, but it's exciting because it's like these principles remind us that this love, this prosperity is the only really reality, and it's always there for us, like the prodigal son. When we come back to ourselves, it comes rushing back, covers us up with the finest robes and rings and throws a party just because we are coming home, and that divinity lights up within us when we turn back toward it, and that's when the party begins.
I guess I know what our three breaths are, Ed.
What are they?
It keeps coming up, so we're going to use them.
All right, you start it, and then I'll take a breath to clear mine.
Okay, you don't even know what they are, so you're going to be in for a nice surprise. Because I saw you had some jotted down in there.
Yeah, that was
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
I can. I can. I can. Ah.
I can. I can. I can.
I can. I can. I can. Oh, man.
I do know that our prayer posse out there, as Nancy Norman calls the unityjoyoflife.org class during the prosperity Zoom, she does Infinite Prosperity on Thursdays. She calls it the prayer posse. She loves the cowboy hats. We got 2 of them in the studio today. We got Darrell wearing his flying nun. We have the Ronald Reagan on Steven Tom Thorpe there, and you can see it if you're on the YouTube. That looks crazy, man. It looks like it's a Instagram filter putting that hat on you, if you can see it. That's amazing. But so now,
oh, come on,
we can get to
we got a
readings after you.
Yes.
Man, these show notes are enriching, man. This is incredible. After you do the reading, I want you to share how you came to this 2-step, doing the Texas 2-step of forgiveness and faith. God.
Yeah, because it was out of necessity.
All right, let's hear this.
Okay, so here we go. This is
by the way, this book, You Unlimited, has been coming up a lot. Darrell mentioned last week a group of fellas, Lee Shock and Capteen and Jerry, and these guys meeting and talking about this book, thanks to Darrell's suggestion. Darrell and Steven and I all jumped on a call this from Monday, which was so incredibly uplifting.
Yes.
To talk about these principles with a new group of people that come at it from a different point of view, just like it's not such a religious spirit, even like calling it spirit. It's just more like practical principles, applying them to life, experimenting with them, enjoying the success that you feel when you do. And so,
well, you know what else makes it great, Ed?
Yeah.
I think the fact that these are just regular guys.
Yeah.
Who, when I mean regular guys, meaning they're just, living their lives. We're not members of any particular.
That's right.
As a group, we're not members of any particular religion or 12-step program or anything other than it's just 5 ordinary guys.
Yes.
Who are applying this stuff to everyday life. And there's something powerful about that.
That sounds like a good intro to a reality show, man. Then it is reality.
Yeah.
We're actually learning about this is true reality TV.
Yeah.
We are exploring what is really going on together. And somewhere along the line with all this going on, I just thought it's so important. The title of that, it's during the call. That title of that book hit me because I am learning that I am unlimited. And until I know that I am unlimited, then there's a limitation to how much I can encourage other people to realize they're how unlimited they are. We have to learn it first ourselves to truly unlock it. And then when I learn it myself, people catch on to it without even saying anything. And so I was thinking about that. And then I just thought, You Are Unlimited is such a good title. And then Steven Tom Thorpe ended up being the guest. So it all just lined up perfectly. By the way, hold up your mug, because Nancy Norman's sponsoring the show with these beautiful mugs.
And
Rod's filling our cup with some of that sweet beaver juice.
It's actually Stumptown coffee today.
Yeah, so if you look on last week's episode, you'll see him in a reindeer suit on all fours in a Goodwill after drinking some cold brew with Darrell and Ed and getting high off spiritual principles. So,
well, because he normally doesn't drink his own product.
That's right, but... Yeah, so you'll enjoy that. If you heard it on the podcast, I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was listening to the episode, and all of a sudden I'm hearing get down on all fours. And you don't need to do, it's like you just hear this peripheral sound of a room. And I was what happens? Instagram on at the same time?
Well, you know what I thought? I thought Indy was just going to drop it in while we were talking without
no
the audio.
Yeah. But it was great. We thank you, Indy, for dropping that in.
My bad.
We thank you, Nancy and Rod, for filling our cups to overflow. Rod
Get
Rod-
down on all fours.
You know-
What am I listening to?
Yeah, in a way, both Rod and Nancy help fill our cup to overflow and they both get as high as kites, whether it's the prosperity zoom or the cold brew in this cup, and the loving friendship we have with Rod, and he's another guy we can tap into and talk about these principles with. So, yeah, your life is your ministry. As long as if you're whatever you're living, really your life is your ministry, and you are unlimited.
Yep.
So what do we got here?
All right. If you do have this book, it's on page 21. What I'm going to read, I'm going to read a bunch of little things. I'm putting together a bunch of little readings from here that really drive this point home. This idea that we're unlimited, and the only limitation is the limit we put on ourselves by what we're telling ourselves about what's possible for ourself. All right. There is nothing in nature that opposes your well-being. On the contrary, it is natural for things to grow and expand. You see this tendency all around you. In spite of your dissatisfaction with what your life has demonstrated so far, there is nothing opposing your good, nothing opposing your health, nothing opposing the increase of your finances, nothing opposing complete harmony in your life. You can believe this. Everything is for you. There is nothing in this universe that is against you. Rather, the entire pattern of the universe is growth, expansion, and increase. The principle that each thing propagates its kind is the great lesson that you must learn. The great lesson that will set you free, because thoughts too reproduce after their kind. Recognize your greatest asset. Life is for you and not against you. And it goes on to say, if you have any idea that life is holding you back, that life is holding something back from you, it is important for you to realize that this is not the action of life itself, but the result of your relationship to life. Meaning, how a relationship to life can also be described or stated as our attitude, my attitude toward life. An attitude, because I used to hear, have a good attitude. Well, what is attitude? I kind of know what it means, but it's simply put, it's my mental approach to life. My mental approach to life. So he gives 4 steps that get us cooperating with the natural flow or the harmony of life itself that eliminates these limiting beliefs within our mind, these obstacles. First, man needs to have an open mind and a natural resistance to the patterns of conformity which are stifling him. Second, the self-winding, renewing person never ceases to explore his own potentials. If you throw away preconceived ideas of age or other limitations, you become amazed and thrilled at the way life opens up to you. Third, as the third step, the self-renewing man will risk failure in order to learn. Trusting life, he will take a chance. He isn't so controlled by fear that he dare not try anything new. He isn't frozen in his old patterns. He doesn't say, well, I've gone along this far. I guess I'll just leave well enough alone. After all, the old way is the safest. And fourth, the fourth step, the self-renewing individual will take is to examine life. As he develops within himself some understanding of the vast realm of mind, he realizes that infinite intelligence will direct his growth and soon learns to have a deep sense of reliance on the indwelling presence. That's what we mean by learning to trust ourself, self with a capital S.
Yes.
In this way, he comes to know something of the nature of God and the power of divine mind within him, and learns that he can draw on that power at will. He knows that it will respond to him and his needs.
Wow.
And respond is another way to saying fulfill.
I got to take a commercial break here because this is a miracle. It goes with what you're saying, but it's unexpected. I opened up the Daily Word from February 82 that Kirk sent us.
Amazing.
There's a reading from James Dillett Freeman that's like 10 pages long, but I just found a couple paragraphs.
Isn't this great?
You know, where did those breaths come from, by the way? What was that a reference to?
Oh, because one morning in my book I wrote, I can. And then I couldn't stop thinking about the can. So I go, I can.
Okay, so keep that in mind. This is called You Can.
Oh, wow.
By James Dillett Freeman. He says, there's no one of you reading this who does not have some dream that you hope to achieve, or some trouble you're having to handle, or both. I don't know what your dreams are, or troubles may be. I don't know what stage of giving up or keeping on you are in, but I do know whatever you're praying, whatever you're hoping, seeking, striving, praying to bring about, God has this to say to you. You can. Psychologists like to measure people's IQs, but one psychologist has said that it is even more important to measure people's I cans. Our I can may take our truer measure. Then he gives a lot of examples, and then he goes at the end, he says, do you have hard things to meet? Do you have much to do? Difficulties to master? Obstacles to overcome? Who has set your limits? Who has told you you can't? Refuse to accept limitations. Refuse to settle for what seems. There are no unattainables, only ends we have not yet attained. There are no impossibles, only things we have accepted as beyond our power to do. Listen, and you will hear, above the dismal whispers of discouragement and doubt, your own immortal spirit crying in a still small voice of faith. Keep on, you can.
What a great coincidence.
Reading that, knowing the immortal nature of our souls, and knowing that James Dillett Freeman loves this stuff, you know he had to tap me on the shoulder to tell me to open, and you know he'd be an amazing guest.
Oh my God!
With that spider nest of hair that he had.
He inspired the original Trump hairstyle.
He really did. He was a cowboy of sorts, and so thank you, James Dillett Freeman, and thank you, Kirky, again for that. Dude, isn't that amazing? That you just happened to come up with those breaths, and it
goes perfect with being unlimited
and being unlimited
and getting rid of our butts.
Should I read the butts and then I want to hear that story?
Yes.
All right.
The winning combo of forgiveness and faith.
Okay, so the reading is from Around the Year with Emmett Fox. If you don't have it, it's a great morning reader. No Butts is the title, from October 6th. And he says, when the devil has been unmasked a number of times, his final refuge. Remember, devil, Satan means adverse thoughts, means those thoughts in our mind that tell us we can't.
Error thinking.
Or that we're limited.
Yes.
Right. And point us away from our good. But our good doesn't go anywhere, thank God. When the devil has been unmasked a number of times, his final refuge seems to be the harmless-looking word but, with one T, that is, Stephen. Students of the teachings of Jesus Christ who would not be deceived by any of the familiar devices constantly surrender their principles and therefore their demonstration to the little word but. Of course I know that God is the only power, but. Of course I know that God is omnipresent, but. Of course I know that God is love, but. Of course I know that there's no hurry because I am in eternity, but. Of course I know that John or Mary must be the living expression of God just as I am, but. If the truth is true, there are no buts. And then there's I don't even need the Bible verse for that, but we can.
Jump right in. So what happened this week, folks? I was driving along from a great driving back from a great talk up at Unity of Santa Barbara.
Yes.
That Kathy and Temple, they did a tag team share, one with 10 minutes each.
Tag team, back again.
And I recommend you listen to it. Go to Unity of Santa Barbara.
UnitySB.org, live stream.
And
or you could get it on YouTube eventually.
It was the perfect thing for her to share prior to what happened, because it was about being right or being happy in relationships.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to be right, you got to think rightly for the higher good, mainly for yourself, but that radiates out to everyone involved.
Yes, it does.
So I'm high as a kite. I'm driving. All of a sudden, I get a text message from someone who had been a guest on our show months and months and months ago, right? Many months ago.
Many moons, as they say.
And it was something.
Speaking of butts.
It was something to the effect of, is there here? Can you? I noticed the show is online, and I don't want to be searchable on the internet. Something to that
It was
effect.
basically like Will Smith at the Oscars. Keep my name out Google's mouth.
Yeah. So could you please, take that off YouTube and Google and all this? And my first thought is, what? When you get these jolts, it's natural to react
Yeah.
with like, what the beep? And I started going through it in my mind because then you also feel a little, did I do something wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So I go, wait a minute, calm down. So I calm down. I text him back. I go, I said, yeah, that's possible, but you didn't say anything derogatory in any way.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was like, encouraging.
Yeah, I was like, it was very positive.
Yeah.
And he wrote, well, it's not that. It's I go through great pains to keep myself off
Google searches.
Google
Or
searches.
whatever, the internet.
The internet.
My name.
So then I'm thinking to myself, I start feeling that justification rise. Like, wait, you were in a place where we have cameras, a studio. We told a podcast is, you got to get it from online. I'm thinking about this. Wait a minute. He's a grown man. He's Ed's age.
Right.
So like he knows all this. You agreed to do it, but now all of a sudden you're like, holy cow. Like, did he think just Indy records these and we come here and can you play the one for us
Wait,
from a week ago?
About how Johnny Francis, we waited so long that he didn't even get on the air and he thought it was
a great meeting.
We invited him in to just watch the show.
Yeah. No, actually, folks, if you're listening to this, you understand that this goes out to everyone. So
it's a global thing.
It's a global thing. However, I was like, oh. So I talked to Ed about it, and we decide, okay, we'll figure out how to take care of this.
Yeah. Thankfully, like I was in a very relaxed moment. I think I had gotten some good waves, and I was just like, I could tell it was just like a mental exercise
for him,
more than like. Just like that person I met with this week, if you're not in, you could just see it's just their brain being overactive. So, anyway, go on.
Sorry, guys.
What do we have in today, Mr.
The classic pepperoni, of course. Yeah,
pepperoni Hot Pockets.
Hot Pockets.
I don't want that out there on the Googles though. So
it's too late,
I
pal.
Cut this out.
Yeah, don't worry. This doesn't go out to anyone. No one listens to this.
Good.
Are you sharing it with Steven Tom Thorpe at least?
Yeah. He wants his mouth burnt too. So
nice.
Out on the range.
Yes. Oh wow.
All right. So coming back to our little.
All right. So you found out about it. You told him okay.
So I realized, look. Plus, I talked to Kirk. He called.
Yeah.
And we realized, you know what? And we did an episode on this called "Let Him Have It."
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, I like that because it has the element of New Jersey mobster. Just let them have it.
Right.
But it really means just let them have it. So I don't have to carry it.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that because it's the spirit in which we're saying it.
Yes.
Usually it's like, let him have it, buddy. Like, boom.
But we're actually using it's actually
more,
the word forgiveness, to give up.
Yeah, like, let there be light.
Yes.
Let him have it.
Just let him have it.
Yeah, allow it to be.
Because,
no resistance.
Because forgiving means to give up.
Right.
Not to give up and roll over and play dead. No, to give up the painful perspective.
It's funny because give up is exactly like what Jesus did with the loaves and the fishes. He turned his attention upward, gave the whole thing over to the divine mind, and so on.
So the first phase is give up. Give it up. What's the big deal? Mike Dugan helped me with this years ago, especially when there were some things that were going to cost me a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Darrell, what's your peace of mind worth? Is it worth more than $5,000? I said, yeah. He said, let him have it.
Right.
So, so we just decided we're going to let him have it. Ed worked it out, figured out how to take it off. And then what that does is that propels me, and faith starts to grow. When you could just let him have it and release, it's like an automatic counter response.
Also talk about what about forgiving yourself portion.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's going to come up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So, and I start getting more hopeful about the show and the future of it and future guests by letting that go instead of digging our heels in and saying, well, you knew. It's like, no, just let them have it. The very next day, Monday, this was Sunday, the very next day, my Instagram account gets hacked.
Oh, right.
But it was because I clicked a link that I shouldn't have clicked.
What was that link?
It's something that looked like it was from Instagram, but it wasn't. So if you get anything.
Was it like a copyright thing they were trying to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's saying, it looks like you violated some copyright. If you want to appeal, press here. But it wasn't legitimate.
Right. Just enough to get you.
Here's the thing, folks. I had a little thing in my mind because I was overtired because I've been taking care, babysitting another dog. And Sunday we had to drive and we dealt with this thing.
Right.
And I didn't really sleep good Sunday till Monday morning.
Yeah.
So, but part of my mind said, get to this later. But that little guy who says, no, we can take care of this now, which is always the reasonable voice.
Yeah.
I didn't listen. So I went click and I went up. I think I blew it. So sure enough, later my account's gone. I can't access it. Steven went for a walk with me because he was going to meet up with me anyway. We'd walk the hill, our guest today. So he said, let me look because, these young guys, they know how to dig into this stuff. Whereas I just want to throw my phone out the window.
Yeah.
So he's going through it, and it was even frustrating for him. It just loop after loop after loop, going nowhere.
I hear you.
So when I finally said, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. Let him have it. I started to get a freeing feeling of,
oh, God.
All right, I'm not going to be on Instagram anymore. And it actually felt good. And I started getting that reawaken, that real part of me that knows all my good has always come directly to me from an unexpected person or opportunity. You know what I mean? Like I mean in real life.
Yeah.
It's always happened in real life in the most unexpected ways.
Right.
So I started really living that. I'm going, holy cow, I forgot how good this feels.
Right.
But then later on, I caught myself beating myself up. And here's the thing. It was easy, I noticed, for me to forgive, whoever it was, wherever he was in the planet, Kenya, wherever, who hijacked my account. But it was more difficult for me to forgive myself for being the chump who pressed the link.
Right.
So I had to forgive myself and relieve myself of thinking I'm a chump. And once that started happening, my faith got even stronger. And I started having more and more inspired ideas of how good my life is and how good it can continue to get. But I even got this renewed enthusiasm of now by being off of the distraction of social media. And I'm not saying everyone should get off social media. Some people are, you know what I mean? But for me, when I'm on social media, and I've said this and I've been aware of this for a long time, it's like I'm only in my own head, but with daytime TV on in the background, which is the worst emotional state I can be in. Hearing daytime TV, because that's what's like, looking through it, and then just being with my own thoughts, like comparing myself or getting overly enthusiastic about, I want to say sharing, but kind of showing off. So by eliminating that, it renewed this wholesome faith for me. You know what I'm saying? Some people are nice and they don't get as emotionally affected.
Who cares? Keep going.
So that's where I am today. And then what happens? The very next day, Ed and I received an incredible contribution to the show.
Yeah.
The very next day, and
so many good things.
And the guys on Monday after this happened, out of the blue said, "Hey, can we do that thing tonight?" It was like that day is when Lee Shock, Jerry,
the phone call.
They texted me that day, and I said yes, and I was like, "This is just like Tuesday."
Talking about social media, baby.
But here's great, Tuesday, the very next day, Robert Lee Shock, who I've known most of my life because we grew up in the same town, went to high school together, and junior high school together. He calls me to tell me how much he loved. He just read What If Godzilla Just Wanted a Hug?
Yeah.
And we had the longest talk.
Brilliant.
Where he was sharing all this he was being very complimentary toward me. And I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, folks. The only thing that limits us is our own beliefs about ourselves. But there's a sneaky way we could limit ourselves. And one way is the little word, I believe that God has good in store for me, but you don't understand. Or, but I grew up with generations of dysfunctional family. But no, we got to let that out. And then the other two is forgiveness. I got to forgive myself of the past. Whatever I think I may have done or whatever I think you may have done.
Right.
The past, let the dead bury the dead.
Yes.
And I just want to read this last thing before we go.
We'll talk about the faith
component. The faith. And then, yes, because that is what catapults us into faith.
Yes.
Trying to do faith on top of unforgiveness is just an exercise in futility for me.
It's driving with the e-brake on.
It's driving. But once we forgive and say, just let him have it. And when it comes to ourselves, just say, no big deal. I wonder what wonderful things that come of this. Darrell, that's no big deal. Other people have done this too. But you know what? And I said this to your wife. Because Jen said, oh, man, that's a bummer. And I said, Jen, in a text message, because she was wondering what happened on Instagram. And I said, you know what? He meant it for bad, but God meant it for good.
Yes.
So here's two little quickies. Regardless of what is happening around me, I will always have the prerogative and the responsibility of choosing what happens within me. I am the creator of my own reality. That's the faith. And for forgiveness, and this is what I did with the guy who wanted the episode wiped off the interwebs. Because now I actually don't have any ill feeling towards him at all.
Yes.
And it's because of this. On several occasions, my friend had asked God to provide health, happiness, and prosperity to those she resented. And I just kept imagining this guy happy. And what happens, I believe, is that my prayers transport the person from the realm of my resentful thoughts back into the realm of the spirit as one of God's children. And you know what? That's what happens to me. That's what happened to me when I took myself out of being unforgiving, you stupid chump, to, who cares? Something better's on the way. And grabbing a hold of that as if God was saying that to me.
Yes. Brilliant. All right. The faith part is also about solutions, because usually when we're spinning in fear, there's a voice inside of us that's saying, but there is no solution. And with these principles and with this knowing, there is always a solution. And sometimes we have to be that loving parent. Come back into the room and say, I don't care how long I've believed otherwise, there is a solution. So coming up next, high hope and actor Steven Tom Thorpe inspires us to let go and let God go to work in our circumstances with today's reading, which is New Day. Thank you for listening and watching Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed out here at CHOBO Studios. All right, welcome back to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Today's show is called You Are Unlimited with actor Steven Tom Thorpe. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
What are you drinking over there?
I am drinking from my actually I can mug.
Ooh, nice.
Some coffee.
It matches your hat quite nicely.
And we actually highlighted that mug last week because I think the week before, because you gave me a mug.
Yes.
And actually, I can mug.
Yeah, this is the third showing because I brought one as well a little while back in the beginning of our Bug Shot segment. Darrell has some Prentice Mulford to share before we chat it up with Steven Tom Thorpe, who's been in the green room.
Yes.
Marinating.
And you know what's amazing? The bookmark I threw in here has a quote from Ben Franklin. And this is actually something we all need to consider, regardless if we're printers. It's about being true to ourselves. And it says, if all printers were determined not to print anything till they were sure it would offend nobody, there would be very little printed.
That's right up my alley right there.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, something I experienced this week. That's amazing.
Wow.
But
I really had to think about that. Yeah,
but here is
so
the
cool.
reading for today. When you say to yourself, I am going to have a pleasant visit or a pleasant journey, you are literally sending elements and forces ahead of your body that will arrange things to make your visit or journey pleasant. When before the visit or the journey or the shopping trip, you are in a bad humor or fearful or apprehensive of something unpleasant, you are sending unseen agencies ahead of you which will make some kind of unpleasantness. Our thoughts, or in other words, our state of mind, is ever at work fixing up things, good or bad, in advance. Prentice Mulford. Isn't that great? Oh, one last thing. Set the universe. This is the affirmation. At the end, we can consider this the affirmation. Set the universal forces ahead of you in everything you do and everywhere you go by thinking the way you want it to go in advance. Then you are creating your life intentionally.
That's great. So, Steven Tom Thorpe, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
What a great show so far. What a great show so far.
Well, what, if anything, lit up in your head while you were listening and watching the first half?
So many things. You know what I think might actually help me?
What?
Reading the Daily Word.
You want to kick it off with
Could
that?
I go ahead and do that?
Yeah, let's kick it off.
Let's hear it, man. Let's hear
I
it.
think that might actually help me because there's
And
so
what
much.
year- what
This will help
ye-
me focus.
We already told them. It's from
Yeah.
1988.
1988. This is from April.
I would have read that Daily Word because I started subscribing in 86. Well,
That's
I was in the
crazy.
service. I was still in the military getting that sent to me.
It's amazing. The oldest publication in American history.
Yeah, it is. It's the oldest periodical in American history that is still being published.
And you just read that printer's thing from Ben Franklin.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, April 2nd, 1988, Saturday. Wow, and today's Saturday. I greet this new day with joy, enthusiasm, and expectancy. New day is the word. I have many experiences from past days. However, today is at hand. I will not bring any regrets or past unhappiness into this day. I eagerly accept today as a new beginning, and I go forward to greater blessings. Thank you, Father, for a new day. How good it is to start each new day with the realization that the rewarding power of God is always at work in me and in all that concerns me. Wow, it's powerful. I am not bound to old conditions. God's power of renewal makes each day new. Today, new life fills me and surges throughout my body temple. The renewing spirit of God stirs my mind to new and higher levels of thought and understanding. Today, the Spirit of God lives through me. I greet this day and every day with joy, enthusiasm, and a high expectancy of abundant good. I greet this day with faith in God and greater confidence in myself. Thank you, Father, for a new day. And the Bible quote is from Revelations. I think it's chapter 21, verse 5. Behold, I make all things new.
Yabba dabba do is what Jesus actually said.
Yes.
Because that was a long time ago. They had to modernize it.
Yeah.
But originally he said
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah,
that
but
was the
that would-
Flintstones, so that would make sense.
around that time. It was a long time ago.
Right.
Jesus
right.
actually said, Yabba dabba do! I make all things new.
That's right. He was very happy at that moment. What do you got? You gonna read something else, or you gonna?
Oh, well, we can
see your little
continue.
fingers.
And
See
little
those
thing-
greedy little showbiz hands.
These
Clutching
daily
some
words.
daily words over there. Let's
Or what
keep it
Darrell
moving.
calls rolled gold.
Yeah. So
You
let's.
can roll them up.
Yeah. Take a pull off of them when you need a little boost in your.
When you need
day.
a little boost. Actually, I learned this from you guys. I have in my journal, I learned from watching you guys, I fold these up and I tuck them in my journal.
Now he's talking about daily word pages.
Yeah, these little daily, I tear them out. These are out of the daily word. They're the perfect size. You could fold them up. If you could put them in your shirt pocket, you could put them in your back pocket. I keep them in my journal so they don't get sweaty throughout my day.
Mhm.
And if I am really having a tumultuous time with my thoughts and not feeling like I can shift my thinking in a positive way, and like you said, sometimes it feels like there is no solution.
Right.
I will reach for one of these and I'll go to if I'm at work, I'll go to the
Mhm.
bathroom
Mm-hmm.
and I will just pull this out and I'll start reading and it'll help shift everything.
Right, because it's important to know it feels like there's no solution because our mind is my mind is telling me and fully immersed in the belief that there is no solution.
It's
So
crazy.
that's why these little things are the antidote for where the actual issue lies in our mind.
When we're fully hypnotized.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're actually being hypnotized with fear, doubt, and worry.
100%. So what you got?
So these are back to back. They just happen to be amazing and go along with today's show. This I'll read in chronological order. July 3rd, 2023. It was a Monday, and the word is unlimited. As a spiritual being, I am unlimited.
Isn't that funny? That's
Whoa.
today's episode.
If I have believed that being only human will keep me from reaching my most deeply cherished desires, today I can choose a new belief. I am fully human and fully divine. Through the Christ within, my divine inheritance, I am one with God. The world may be full of limitations, but I transcend those by realizing the power, strength, and will of God are mine to express as only I can. I feel newly empowered to go for the life of my dreams without feeling daunted or undeserving of the best life has to offer. I am in the world, but not of it. I am a spiritual being, unlimited and powerful beyond measure. I boldly embrace new possibilities. But those who wait for the Lord shall, this is the Bible quote, but those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint.
Mm.
Now, by wait, it means those who stand back and trust that it's working on our behalf, that life is for us.
Yes, that's
That's
right.
what
Let
I
the
mean.
law go.
Yes.
Trust in the law. Let the law go to work rather than
Yes.
trying to manufacture it ourselves with this small sense of self. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Plan and manipulate.
Yeah.
How can I make this work out in my favor?
Right.
I can make it happen.
Right, because that's not coming from our unlimited self. That's coming from a very limited sense of self for me when I'm trying to push it. But when I'm first taking the time to tap into this unlimited self, these laws, these principles, and then something amazing will happen that really kicks us into where it's not just a theory, it's a knowing that, okay, now I'm like turned on. Like
Yeah.
Charles Fillmore called it, my consciousness is now spiritualized. I know who I am, I know what's going on, and nothing we do from that place ever goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? It
Well-
just gets better and better.
Well, yeah, and to our listeners, I just want to let you know we would not be doing this show with this much enthusiasm week after week because we don't do it for our own showboating. I mean, or to be experts in the field. The reason we do it, and the reason if this wasn't the case, we wouldn't be able to do it, is the reason is because we get actual results.
Yeah.
We actually get results in our everyday life
Right.
when we experiment with these ideas in situations that are harrowing at the time, or even ones that are not so scary. The fact remains is, like Ed was describing, when we click over to, you know what, I'm just going to give up trying to make it happen, whatever. And I'm just going to start believing that God is at work in the situation, and then the believing is more effective, the waiting on the Lord, than me trying to scheme and come up with an idea on my own resources, because that never works. It always makes things, at best, it doesn't work at all, and I just get frustrated and pass out. At worst, it creates more problems for me.
Yeah.
But
So true.
the great news is, by just choosing to click into believing that this force is at work for my good in this situation, even though I can't see it in this moment, is that always works. I'll always get a demonstration that reassures me that good prevails
Yeah.
and that life is for me and not against me.
Yes. Yeah.
That happened with how I got with my current horse riding teacher.
Mm.
I don't know if so I'm an actor, and I've been getting lots of casting calls, or, they're called breakdowns with Western shows. And for these roles, they require horse riding experience.
Okay.
And so I had the joyful nudge to find out, how can I take lessons? How can I get this on my acting resume?
Yeah.
And so I started looking into it through simple Google search, but then it started to turn into like an overwhelming.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them in LA. There's a lot of horse ranches all around here. There's a lot of schools. Remember, Darrell, you helped me see, okay, just do a little bit at a time. Let's check out this place. But still, like, after we did it, we checked out a few, and they were closed one day. We drove all the way out to Glendale. And so it's like, it started to become like I was forcing it to happen. And thankfully, through a morning routine and focusing on what's in front of me, it kind of fell to the wayside. And the old me would have been like, I got to make this happen. I got to get this on my resume. We got to figure this out. I got to find a teacher.
Right.
But luckily I just waited on the solution. Every morning I would have either new things to focus on, or it would come to mind, and I would go, God's going to bring it about in spite of my doubts. God's going to make it happen in a miraculous way.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to that art thing with Darrell. When was that? Like in the beginning of August?
Oh, the art thing that none of us really enjoyed.
That's where I met Tyler, the creator.
You met Tyler, the creator. You're able to.
I like the high iced coffee that I drank, and I liked meeting Tyler, the creator, and I like leaving.
But there was one person in that whole thing, other than you meeting Tyler, the creator, was this young lady.
Well, this is another miracle, because you gravitated towards that.
Yeah.
Darrell's an artist. And so when we go to these things, he feels with his gut.
Which direction,
Which direction to go. And we kind of follow his lead, because it's like some things are jarring.
My gut took me outside to sit in a chair and drink coffee.
Yeah.
Yes, and your gut took you to this.
To an artist. Her name is Natalie.
Yes.
You enjoyed her artwork.
Yeah, or the artwork or the books and the art books that she was a representative for.
That's right. It's an art book fair.
Yes.
And so you enjoyed it. You loved it. You struck up a conversation. And what happened?
Oh, she saw the horse on my hat.
You had your
One of the
artwork.
ones you made.
Yeah, and it had the charge, and she said, "Oh, I love your hat. I love horses." And somehow the conversation opened up to how I had just been going with Lori to St. Francis
Horse Sanctuary.
To volunteer, which led to
Darrell coming over and said, "Steven, you got to talk to her. She's taking horse riding lessons at this place." I go over there and I talk to her. I say, I'm interested in horse riding lessons. This is amazing. She goes, "Oh yeah." I go to this place. It's called Arroyo Seco Stables. There's my teacher. Her name is Isabel. She is so amazing. I am having so much
Wow.
fun. Tell her my name, Natalie. I ride Emmy. The horse's name is Emmy. I took all these in my notes in my phone,
Right.
so I knew what to do. She gave me the phone number. Or no, she didn't give me the phone number. I looked it up. So that's how I got connected to Isabel. And this is another string of amazing coincidences because that was in the beginning of August, and I
Yes.
had her name written in my notes.
Mhm.
First amazing coincidence. My brother's wife has a baby. I'm a first-time uncle. My
Yeah.
brother's a first-time father. Guess what he names his daughter? And
Yeah.
I didn't mention anything about horse riding lessons or the name. He
Yeah.
names her Isabella.
Isabella, yes.
Not Isabel, but pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Like, what are the chances?
Yes.
And then it turns out that Isabel went to the same college.
The
that
horse riding coach.
The horse riding coach, yeah. Went to the same college as my brother and my mother in Chicago.
That's crazy.
In Chicago.
Wow.
And she drives the same car as Steven.
And the same car. Wait a minute. Did I say Isabel went to the same college? Sorry. Isabel's brother went to the same college
Right.
as my brother.
Wow.
So our brothers went to the
That's
same
wild.
college. And she drives the same car that I'm driving.
Crazy.
So all these crazy coincidences, and she's telling me I'm doing so good. The way she's teaching me, I feel so comfortable. I feel like I'm making so much progress.
How many lessons have you had so far?
2.
Wow. Where do you ride? In a stable type thing? I mean, in like a fenced off area, or you go into the
It's a fence.
trails,
It's
or-
like the arena, I believe it's called. An arena.
Nice.
It's like a fenced
It's
off.
so funny because the episode that we had to erase was called like "Avoid the Bull and Leave the Arena."
Oh my God.
Sorry,
You're
that's been in my
kidding
head.
me.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Now we know we could redo that episode. We could use that title again because that's a good title.
We should have avoided the bull and left the arena before we
Before.
filmed it or whatever.
Before we let the bull in the arena. We could have prevented the bull from entering the arena on that one.
That's amazing. Hearing you share I'm really inspired because the other thing I want to share with what Darrell was saying about the show, I just want to let you know when I'm describing these principles and I'm taking my time choosing the words, it's because Steven said something and then I'm looking in my mind's eye at an experience I'm having right now regarding my work and the experiences I'm having. So when I'm in this moment or in these moments, I'm applying these principles to those things that I'm experiencing in real time. So when we leave here, I'm high as a kite because that's one of the reasons I love the show.
Me too. Me
And-
too.
Me too.
So when I just heard you say all that about because at the break, I told you this. Before I came in here, I've been listening to a book called Trust Your Vibes by Sonia Choquette. It's just a nice audio book. I'll listen to like 10 minutes. I mix it up with all the other things I listen to. And it's just real simple, like about just listening to your intuition and not ignoring. And I realize I got to go even more. I'm excited to go more openly spiritual because I hear voices. I'm hearing intuitive voices all the time. That's where I'm getting the information that I'm working
Yeah.
with these kids.
Yes. Yes.
And miracles are happening. It's not some sort of scientific tables I'm looking at. I'm hearing voices and inspiring voices, thoughts. I'm receiving these thoughts all the time. And I've done it since I was little. We probably all have to some
Yeah.
degree. And some of us, it's more overwhelming than others. And, for me, it's always been there. And that's why I've been so sincere about learning this stuff. And
Wait, I just want to reinforce this because this is what we mean by trusting ourself.
Yeah.
Which for a long
Yes.
time I would, in creative endeavors, I would hear those voices, but I'd be in a academic arena.
yeah.
And then I would not trust them all of a sudden because they're showing me, well, you got to do it this way and this.
Right.
But we're saying, regardless of what you're hearing out there, if you stick to trusting yourself,
Yeah.
that higher self, you'll see that you already have the ability in arenas
That's right.
that you're naturally tuned in to succeed in.
Yeah.
The hard part is we tend to forget that
Right.
we start lacking confidence in ourself, in
Right.
those natural inclinations because of what we're hearing from the outside.
And also the butts that come from the inside.
Yeah.
That are full of negative form of confidence and bad feeling chemicals and that. So this show is just reminding me that I have the ability to, even when those butts come up, to be, no, there is a solution to this. And even though this loud voice is full of whatever, piss and vinegar, as they say, and like just in my inner face telling me that I can get behind me, Satan, get behind me, adverse thoughts. There is a solution, because in this God that I believe in this universe that I believe in, there is always a solution, and it always moves toward greater life and greater joy and greater prosperity and greater relationships and greater wow moments. And what I was hearing when I walked to my car, so we had to go get a bag of nuts so Steven didn't go nuts, was the voice is literally telling me it's time to get out. It's time to let it go, related to the job I've been doing. The information I'm getting is, and when I meditate, sincerely sit and spend time completely letting it go. Completely just let it go, let it go, let it go. Get out. Now is the time. There's no reason to waste my talents and my abilities in that environment anymore. There's just no reason for that, because what I bring is too valuable to continually trying to make it fit in something where it doesn't really fit. I mean, it blesses the hell right out of a lot of people, but the wear and tear on my own mind in the past has just been too much. It's time to get on with it. And it's now that God says now. This isn't, I'm not looking like a long, hard slog. I'm talking about that's why I'm inspired by your story. I got to start writing down, connecting the dots. I get to write more of these things down, meditate more from the place there is a solution, and start connecting these dots more, leading me in the right direction.
Yeah. Because the only thing that holds me back is me.
100%.
I was starting to laugh because I don't think, if you really start reading these old Bible verses, you get to see how much of a sense of humor and ball buster Jesus was.
Right.
Because, not only did he say when he was having those negative thoughts, he said, "Get behind me, Satan," which means these error thoughts. I'm not going to buy into this garbage. Right. But the best is when Peter was going, yeah, but. And then Jesus goes, "Get behind me, Satan." And I can just imagine people, "I'm not Satan." Come on, shut up. What are you doing? You know better. Right. But that's what Peter was basically doing. He was going, "Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, but. Right. And Jesus goes, "Get behind me, Satan."
Yeah,
totally. Like him going, "I'm not
the Bible verse that I left out, which is perfect from the No Buts, October 6th, Emmett Fox. It just says, "And they all with one consent began to make excuse." With one consent, they all, and it's the but.
Oh, you know what that's from?
That's great, but yeah, tell me.
That's from Luke, right?
Luke 14:18.
Okay. So I looked that up today.
Oh yeah,
and this is the scene where the rich guy, it's one of these stories that Jesus did. So a rich guy invites all these people to dinner to their greater good is what it represents. Your greater good, but each and every one of them goes, "No, I have I have 5 cows to take care of." And I looked it up. 5 cows represents our 5 physical senses.
Are you talking about did you get this
Metaphysical
from the Bible thing?
Yeah, the Fillmore Metaphysical Bible.
Yeah, that
and then the other one goes, "Well, my wife, I got to tend to my wife." And wife represents, in this case, my emotional ties to things.
Okay, yeah.
And then there was another one that meant,
I like that.
That meant my material. I don't want to lose my material. And he's saying, but you're using it was a perfect example of how we use "but" to get in a way of all the good that will just come to us the moment we say, "You know what, I'm ready. I'm ready to go wherever you want me to go." Like Terry McBride, roll down the window as you're driving, stick your head out and say, "Here I am, God, deal me in." And what happens at the end, and people who misread this, like even when I would hear it, but I would hear it preached in a way that made it appear like this. Because what happens is all the people that don't have any of these things, so they're assumed to be poor, down and out, people. But no, that's not what it's saying. It's saying the people who had nothing, meaning they were willing to go forth to their greater good.
Right.
They weren't saying, yeah, but I got this, yeah, but that, yeah, but this, yeah, but what if?
Wow.
That's what they were free of, that let them go in and enjoy the feast.
That's where we got to be like children to enter the kingdom.
Yes.
Right? Like a kid's not going to be like, I don't want ice, not right now, not ice cream now. I got to do this, or like I got to do that. It's like ice cream, yes.
I
Feast,
know.
yes.
We got to just say yes to the ice cream.
And I feel that inside me, that hand leading me toward my good, and I'm the one who's just, because it's not. I said this recently. It's not super. This is not some superstitious belief. I'm the one who's been waking up and driving myself to the job. So why do I have this job? I'll tell you why, Ed. You applied for it. You keep going back. You keep planning for it. You keep wringing your hands over the worries about it. Like, I have to get it through my head. Like, because that connects me with the more unlimited part of me that I don't often see. Sometimes I identify with this very small part, but I'm the one who's practically, and I mean the word in a practical way, I've driven myself there, I've chosen it, I've selected this life, so I can choose and select something different, and the universe will support me.
You know what? You're giving me a new approach to this from my insides, because when I grew up as a little kid, we used to have the Good Humor Man.
Yeah.
And it was such a clean truck, and it only had jingle bells. It didn't play that awful music like they do now.
Mine was nothing like that.
No, this was a clean truck. The guy wore a white outfit and a white hat.
My white guy would come and they'd be like, you could buy cocaine off that thing.
It was different then when I was a kid. Didn't graduate to that level yet. But you would hear the jing, jing, jing.
Oh, wow.
And you would drop whatever you were doing. If you were, whatever thing that you loved to do in that moment did not get in the way of us going, ice cream man! And we would go, whoa! Yeah. So I got to remember, because I'll do this with things like even imagining us taking the trip to Unity Village. I felt enthusiastic. It felt like, part of divine. But then, do I really want to get on a plane? I was doing like the story in Luke. Yeah, but and then Lee Shock, I was talking to him. When I talked to him, he said, "Well, why don't you come out? I got plenty of room, and it's at the Jersey Shore where I spent some of the best time of my life." So I was like, "Yeah, this sounds great." And later on, I started thinking like those people in Luke. I go, yeah, but I got some appointments. I got things.
Sure.
But I'm not going to do that.
Nice.
This is our new thing. I'm going to do ice cream man.
Yeah, totally.
Every time this comes up, you can say that to yourself.
Totally.
And these thoughts are subtle and they come in as being reasonable and prudent.
Right.
But they're not.
Right.
Most of the time, they are not.
Yeah, that's so true. Because once you're either running to the ice cream man or you're running to the crap dealer or whatever that is that replaces that joy. There's the fear monger, one of those has to be real. You can't serve the two masters, as they say. And so I want to serve the ice cream man.
Because it reminded me of the thing I was doing in the moment when the ice cream man came was something so incredibly cool at the time. But I was willing to immediately throw my bike down, run to my house to get money for the ice cream man.
That was even true when I was a kid, man. That part, even though it was a little dingier of a truck.
It reminds me of the unicorn that Emmett Fox talks about.
Yes.
You jump on the unicorn.
Yes.
You don't let any butts get in front of you jumping on and going for the ride.
Yes.
Yeah, that is so true.
When the unicorn shows up, just jump on it because it's going to take you places where no amount of self-will can bring you.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I realized that the unicorn is mentioned in the Bible.
I know. Same.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, the first time I heard of a unicorn might have been Clash of the Titans, that book. Although that was what's the winged one? Pegasus. That was a Pegasus. Yeah. You remember that movie?
No.
Really? That guy, he was in L.A. Law later? Handsome guy?
I saw 3 seconds of that
Handsome
in the
guy.
trailer, and even as a kid, the special effects, like, oh, that's terrible, the way they move. I
It
was
was
like,
odd, but it was really good, man. Like, even though I was like, this is so weird. I put it together with Time Bandits, man. There's a strange vibe combined with
with the little people in it.
Yeah.
Time
Oh,
Bandits.
God, that was a strange movie.
I got to add these to my movie list.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
All this, what we're talking about, is reminding me just how it's crazy. My morning routine is the most important thing in my life
Mm-hmm.
because it really
Yeah.
helps me connect. Because I was as you were talking, Ed, I was thinking about all my butts. Like, I know it's not comparable, but like for the horse riding lesson, I had my own, like, I can't ride a horse. I haven't been on a horse since I was 10 and it was being led
Yeah.
around. And I got all these crazy things. I got Christopher Reeves.
Oh, yeah, falling off the horse and
being
paralyzed.
I'm like,
Oh,
I'm going to
yeah.
get paralyzed if I fall off. And like all these crazy doubts and fears. But luckily during my morning routine, because I'm just sitting with myself and I have no outside real stimuli and I'm able to
Right,
reflect and I'm
right.
reading all this positive and all these Bible quotes
Right.
that are telling me these amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
I was really able to quickly kind of shoo those off and go, no. Like, and I started visualizing myself really having fun on a horse.
Yes.
Really being a good horse rider. And then it doesn't make any sense, but my teacher, Isabel, she keeps telling me how I have the best instincts with the horse that I'm riding. And that she goes, you must have some horse riding in your blood or something because you are natural at
Well, it's because you're doing what all these things say. You're visualizing the desired outcome in
Right.
advance.
Yes.
That's like, that is it. I mean, all the great teachers, but Jesus really drove it home, is ask, believe, and receive.
Yeah.
And what that means is, I want to do this, but then doubt comes in. But you go, no, I believe I can do this. I'm going to shoot that way. And then I can see myself doing it now.
Yeah.
And
That's
what
right.
happens?
And that's also why you said, I just looked this up because it made me think of this. In Matthew 6:7, he said, but when you pray, go away by yourself, shut the door behind you, and pray to your Father in private. That's the only thing that matters. And it connects with this Ernest Holmes paragraph here from 1968 that Michael Schoonover sent us. So thank you, Michael. It says, it might contradict much of our experience when we first affirm these things, because you know as well as I do that often when we seek to change our thought patterns, it is as though something within us arises and argues against it and says, you can't. And we are also confronted by what the world thinks, the whole world thinks, yet we are still dealing only with the habitual thought patterns that are repeating themselves. Therefore, if we want to change them, we must know that we do not have to argue with anybody about it. I have found that it does not pay to try to convince anybody of anything. But those people who with imagination and an inward feeling accept these things and begin to act as though they were true will soon find that they are true.
How did that fit perfectly?
How did any of these readings fit perfectly? This is what we mean why we get so high after the show. It's like,
Yeah.
I hope folks realize this is the only thing scripted is what we say at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then so we know the song lyrics.
Yes.
One more quick thing. I forget if I read this did you say that's from Joseph Murphy? I'm sorry. No, Ernest Holmes.
Ernest Holmes.
Ernest Holmes. I forget where I read it from or Darrell, I remember earlier on when you were helping me get started on a morning routine and showing me this, and I would have pushback and I would call you on the phone like crying because I was like, no, none of this works. I got all these, I'm trying to, I think affirm. It's too hard to change my thoughts and think affirmatively. But then you would say every time you choose, like with shifting the thought, you're creating new grooves
Yeah.
in your brain and in your subconscious mind, new grooves. And that helped to really solidify, like, I want that.
Yeah, I want new
And it
grooves.
helped me to push, helped me to push myself
Yeah.
and use my will in that regard.
Yes.
Yes.
Use
That's-
my will
yes.
in that regard is with the general atmosphere of my thoughts, the direction, the path of my thoughts.
That's right.
And so it's just incredible. And
It is
I
incredible.
feel like a new man. And every day I feel like a new man. Every day
Yeah.
I put that morning routine first.
100%. Yeah, I would never. I can't imagine not doing it.
Me neither.
Yeah. Wait, hold on 1 second. I want to introduce everybody to somebody real quick.
Who is it?
Jennifer and Elliot here.
Oh,
My
no.
wife and son have arrived.
I
I
don't
wanted
think
to-
Jennifer's going to enjoy this, folks, because she's like me. She doesn't
All
like
right.
being put on the spot.
My son's in town from Berkeley.
It's like tearing off a Band-Aid, Jennifer. Just
Come on in and say hello right quick.
Come on in.
So
There's
you
your
can see the
framing.
cameras
He
on
really
there.
has a
framing.
wife, ladies and
There's
gentlemen.
Jennifer.
There she
The
is.
sun.
And a
And a
son.
Elliot.
Elliot.
That's the better looking version of Ed.
That's right. That's right. Steven Tom Thorpe has a joke for us.
I
Yeah.
do.
And then we have a song.
This is the first time ever. No,
Oh,
it's not the
boy.
first time ever a guest has brought a joke, but I think it's the first time of this sort that it's happened. So
Okay.
So everybody
Yes.
knows that Darrell and Ed met each other at the Agape Spiritual Center here in Los Angeles.
right,
But nobody really knows the full details as to the interaction.
Uh-oh.
Right.
So Edward goes up to a hot dog vendor
Mhm.
at the Agape, and it was Darrell.
Wow.
So Ed goes
Spiritual
up,
dogs.
yes, Ed goes up to order a spiritual dog and says, make me one with everything. So Darrell makes him one with everything, hands it to Ed, and then Ed pays with a $20 bill. Darrell puts the $20 bill in the cash box, closes it, and then goes about his business. Ed says, excuse me, but where's my change? And Darrell quickly responds, change must come from within.
I remember like it was yesterday. Yes.
That was another 20.
That's right. All right. All right. Well, Steven Tom Thorpe, actor, thanks for joining us. Elliot and Jennifer, thanks for coming into the studio today. What do we got here? What's her name?
Terry Wilder.
Terry Wilder. There's none wilder than Terry, I like to say. Darrell's got a spoken word he wants to deliver.
The best part is seeing Jennifer's reaction to being forced to be in the studio.
I know we got a live studio audience.
Don't feel bad. I would feel the same way.
I've done for you.
No, I think I could stop. He married to him. So, okay, I'm going to do the little rap, I guess, from the beginning.
If anyone wants to dance in the middle, that's fine.
Okay.
If you don't, that's
Well,
fine, too.
listen, guys. There's this thing I've been dragging behind me.
Yeah,
Seems to weigh about 100 pounds.
got it.
You could call it extra baggage. All I know is that it slows me down.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm in arrears, so I must be. But from what? But why? But how? But when? But what if? And but.
I want
I
to
get rid of my butt. It's bigger than it would appear. It hinders my forward movement when I keep bringing up the rear. All the excess garbage I've heaped onto my plate is just adding to my weight.
And wait,
And wait!
if I'm wondering why I just can't seem to catch up, I'm moving slow cause I'm dragging my butt.
Visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy links to everything we do.
Steven Tom Thorpe, we love you. Jennifer Elliott, thank you for being here.
Thanks for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
If I'm wondering why what's it go?
I can't
If
seem- I
I'm
can't
wondering
seem
to
to
catch up,
I'm
moving slow because I'm dragging my butt.
And now that I've got rid of that butt thing, I'm starting to work on my can.
Ooh.
$500.
Really?
See, $200 for you, sir.
$100 for you.
What the hell? Oh, no.
$100 for you.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'll give you 100.
Let's see what's on there.
Of course. Thank you so much.
When you record your podcast at CHOBO Studios, you're helping people in need. Here at CHOBO, we take a bold stance on helping the community by giving away 10% of all revenue, not just profit, to kind, hardworking people in the streets of Los Angeles. And thanks to all these wonderful podcasters, we've been able to give $1,400 this year alone through our kindness initiative, CHOBO Kindness. Brought to you by CHOBO Studios, LA's premier podcasting powerhouse. Follow for more.